Hi, my name is Lexi Jong and welcome to my channel. So today we're going over the Hourglass Ambient Metallic Strobe Lighting Palette. And this has three highlighting shades. We have Absolute Strobe Light, Pure Strobe Light, and Lucent Strobe Light. And this palette was actually released in 2017 originally, and it was limited edition. It sold out fairly quickly. I did not purchase it then. It was just recently re-released. I believe it is still limited edition, but I'll have the information down below. And, basically we're gonna go through this today because I am working on figuring out which highlighting palette is actually, in my opinion, the most worth it to invest in this season. So this was made in Italy. It has a net weight of 0.1 ounces times 3. So each one of these shadows or highlighting shades is 0.1 ounces or 3 grams. Okay, and we're gonna go ahead and look at these. So let's go ahead and swatch these. So these are the 3 shades in the palette. We have Absolute, Pure, and Lucent. Absolute is a pink shade. And you can see it's a pretty neutral pink. It doesn't lean super cool. It is, neutral, maybe slightly warm, but it's close to neutral. Then we have the Pure, which is a pale gold. And, I think this is a really pretty shade. So it's a really soft golden light. And then our third shade here is Lucent, which is kind of a peachy bronzy color. And this one leans warmer. Okay, and by the way, the Pure is pretty neutral on the spectrum as well. It actually is a little bit cooler toned than most golds, but I think it's still pretty neutral. And so I have done a full face essentially using this palette. So if you stay tuned, I'll show you some clips of application, but I do have all 3 shades mixed as a finishing powder on my face. I have the Absolute, the pink one, as a highlight on my cheek, and you can see how shimmery that is. And then I have all 3 shades on my eyes for eyeshadow today as well. All right, so I'm gonna show you the clips of the application, and then after that, I'm gonna go through my thoughts. Okay, so I'm gonna apply all 3 of these Hourglass highlighting shades to my eyes, and I'm going to go in order here, the Absolute, Pure, and then Lucent in the outer corner. So I'm using the Sonia G Worker Pro, and on my eyes I have the Guerlain Eye Stay Primer. And I'm just dabbing a little bit of this in the inner corner as well as I work my way over. So I went about 1/3 of the way over, wiping the brush off in between each shade, moving on to Pure. And now applying Lucent to the outer corner. And without wiping the brush off, I am just blending the edges. And I'm keeping the clean side of the brush facing up. Going in with the Sonia G Smudger 2, I am getting some shadow from Lucent on the tip of the brush. And I'm smudging that under lower lash line. Wiping the brush off, I'm going into Pure, and I'm using the side of the brush this time. Just get a little bit more in the inner corner here. Drag that below. For the upper lash line, I'm sticking with the Smudger 2, but I did wipe it off, and I'm just gonna spray it so that it's damp. Wipe off any excess water. And I'm going to go into Lucent and run that along the upper lash line. All right, so those are the eyes with the highlighting palette. And, it gives a really soft look. Using it wet does make it a little bit more amped up, but not significant enough to use as a liner. So I am gonna go ahead and take a regular eyeliner to use with this as well. Okay, so on my face so far, I have my base products down. I have the Coral Blush shade from the new Chantecaille duo, but I haven't applied finishing powder yet. For finishing today, I'm going to swirl all three of these shades together. This is the Chikuhoru F01 brush. I'm just going to swirl them all lightly on the brush and apply them for finishing powder. So it gives a really nice soft glisten, and it's definitely sparkly. You can see the shine and the shimmer, but it's really nice for a dewy look. And I think mixing them all together and applying with a big fluffy brush does give a nice light luminescence to the skin. Now I am going to apply the Absolute shade to my cheeks using the Sonia G mini cheek brush. And I'm going to apply this right up here. So you get a little bit more amped up highlight shade there. You can see how vibrant that is. Okay, and just gonna run a little bit right here. Okay, so this is a full face, essentially using the Hourglass Metallic or Ambient Strobe palette. And I'm gonna add some lipstick and I will be right back. All right, so overall, I think this is a really nice highlighting palette. I really like all three shades in here, and I think all three shades work well together and separately. I think overall, all of the shades could work well for pretty much any skin tone. Nothing is super warm or super cool. And, I think it's gonna fit a wide variety of skin tones. Now, one of the things Hourglass is known for with their highlights in particular is kind of like a diffuse, soft glow. And I think this palette accomplishes that very well. There is a tiny bit of kick up in the palette. I don't know if you can see, like I've got a little powdery residue, but it's nothing significant. It's not a huge mess or anything like that. And I do think that everything goes on very softly. You can amp it up depending, if you use a firmer brush or if you dampen a brush, you can definitely get a more intense glow. But the actual color pigment is not super intense. So that's always going to be pretty light. You're really just looking at amping up the shine, the shimmer effect. Now, all of these shades are, a smooth formula, and they are, they're typical Hourglass highlights. So if you have experience with one of those, that's the texture of these. So they go on very nicely. They've got a great shimmer, and I'll go through full comparisons with the other highlights soon, but just a note, these are slightly more powdery than the Guerlain highlighting trio that just came out. So that can be good or bad depending on what you're looking for. It does mean that it is easier to get a really soft focus finish. For example, when I used it as a finishing powder here, you can get that really diffuse soft look, and it's easier to get less on your brush because it is a little bit more powdery. It doesn't cling quite as strongly. Another thing to note though is that the eyeshadow, see, I've got all three shades on, the pink, the gold, and the lucent shade, and they are all very soft in pigment. There's not a lot of distinction between the different shades on my lids. They do wear well. Again, I have the Guerlain Eye Stay Primer on, but I haven't had any issues with wear time with these. And same thing with the highlight on the cheeks, it wears well, no issues whatsoever. So I think this is a great option. I think they're beautiful highlights. And those are my thoughts on this palette. So some of you may already have had this from before or have already purchased it this year, but if you are interested in this, it is currently still available, and I'll have all purchasing information down below. So thank you so much for tuning in to my mini review of the Hourglass Ambient Strobe Lighting Palette. I think this is a great palette. I am actually very pleasantly surprised by it because I was a little concerned that the shades would be too dark for me. It's hard to tell when you look at photos online, and obviously all the stores here are closed. I was very happy with this. I also have the Hourglass Unlocked palette that, you know, so many people love, and for me it's just not something I really reach for. It's a little bit too deep for me. I can only use a couple of the shades, and you know, I was really hoping this one turned out to be like that, and it hasn't. I really do like this palette. I think it's very easy to get a nice soft customized look, and you know, you can really get a really soft focused highlight, or you know, amp it up a bit if you want. So the colors in this, the actual pigmentation colors, are very soft and not strong, so you're not necessarily going to get a lot of color on your cheeks to use, you know, necessarily as like a blush shade or something like that. So I hope this was helpful, and if you're interested, in a couple days I will have a video out comparing all of the different highlighters that I've purchased recently and giving you guys my thoughts on the pros and cons of each. And you know, if I were to do it all over again and I only picked, you know, one or two things to purchase, what would I purchase? So if you're interested in that, check back on my channel, and I hope to see you guys soon. So if you like the video, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I hope to see you guys in my next video. So stay safe and healthy and have a great day.